Social responsibility, okay. Well, I guess social responsibility for any institution, any individual, I guess the verse of the Quran that I think sums it up well, which is to save yourself and your family from the hellfire. Right? So that is the ultimate responsibility. And I don't know how the Mufassirin will interpret what family connotes. We can clearly, and I think this fits in with the overall vision of Islam, is to save not only the Muslims but also the non-Muslims from all kinds of falsities or falsehoods, and to bring them closer to the truth, right? And enable them to submit to it. And in that submission lies their freedom in this world and in the next. That to me would be what I would take to be socially responsible behavior, one that secures the hereafter. And then individuals should construct institutions that facilitate the arrival at that destination, the realization of that goal. So religion, I would say Islam. Islam is far more than religion, is far more than just reciting a few words.
Yeah.
So I would say that you need to have a system of ethics at the core of your understanding of responsibility. And for us, as Muslims who believe in Islam, then Islam is that core. Yeah, if we call ourselves Muslims, I mean, if you call yourselves Christians, then it would be Christianity. I mean, it depends. I mean, your definition of responsibility is contingent on your worldview. So if our worldview is that of Islam, then it is in Islam that we have to articulate this problematic. Individuals are making an effort to help some individuals, clearly not all. Some individuals are certainly making the effort to help people and themselves achieve that goal. I should have shut it off. That's alright. To achieve that goal. But what's happening is that there's an institutional gravity that's going against that mission. I mean, LUMS, if you look at it, who the sponsors were, I mean, it was really set up for terrestrial purposes. It wasn't set up to achieve transcendental objectives. When transcendental objectives are mentioned, for example, being ethical and upright, it's in service, it's in instrumental terms, to the achievement of terrestrial objectives, which is to increase wealth, and to enable those who hold the keys to wealth to be able to harness human talent for greater wealth production. So institutionally, the way LUMS has been constructed is actually quite antithetical to the achievement of that goal. Yeah, well, you're not the product of LUMS. It's a misnomer. Some may think of you as products of LUMS. The product of LUMS more or less is somebody who is interested in maximizing his or her sensory experiences and is concerned about his relative standing in society and material affluence, with little or no regard for the next life and what Islam or God, in fact God, demands of him. Right, so I think that is what would be institutionally speaking, that is the persona the LUMS would create. Somebody who would be honest, but honest in a non-Islamic way, in the sense there's no intent on pleasing God, it's just being honest because it's good to be honest. So in very secular terms, somebody who's able to divide space into the public and the private, and religion gets confined, jailed into a private sphere, and is not allowed to shape one's dealings with the rest of creation.
So,
well, in terms of intervening, they're already intervening in our lives. right? So the question is not about, it's not a question of if, like if there is intervention, clearly there is. The question is the type of intervention. And that will then depend on what your moral philosophy is. So they are intervening, they are shaping our consciousness, they are telling us to focus on certain things, ignore certain things. They are telling us what is good and what is bad, what should be privileged, what should be marginalized. So that is based on a particular pragmatic perspective on life, right? About what things should be challenged, what things should be accepted. So I don't think any of them are saying that you guys shouldn't go and work for corporations. You should not maximize shareholder value. So they are giving you certain values. It's not that they're not giving you any values. And it's not even a clear case of you being given, basically, it's not even a clear case of you guys being given, how should one say, equality in treatment of ideas. So you may have one or two courses in an MBA program which is providing you an alternative perspective, and the rest of your courses are just focused on shareholder maximization. So in terms of providing students with, say, a plethora of ideas or a full spectrum, and then letting them choose, well, it's not fair. There's no equal playing field. So they're not even providing you with that. And then it doesn't matter, it's not up to the family or the parents or the high school or the primary school. As a LUMS faculty member, you have to discharge your responsibility. The word deen in Arabic, one of the meanings given to it is a debt. So God has given you this life, this deen, it's a debt. And you have to repay the debt, and God is giving you the conditions. So regardless of whether others are paying off the debt or not, does not absolve you from your responsibility of paying off the debt. And that means you have to intervene in a way that you think is closer to truth and justice. And the way you do it, as I said, is that you present your views and you're open to being corrected. But you have to take a position, because there is no other way. Even to not take a position is to take a position. And I think in our deen, we have to, an alim or anybody else has to make a judgment. Although he can say, or she can say, well, I don't know. But if the person is generally convinced of the truth, then the truth is what they should speak. And this is something that's not only resonates with our tradition, it resonates with the Western tradition, with the concept of a public intellectual, whose job or responsibility is to represent those whose voices are not being heard, right? Whose views are not being represented. So you read Edward Said, Representations of the Intellectual, that is the point that he's making. I think that what you would have to do is redefine the case method. So at a very superficial level, you can have cases which present the issues not from the point of view of the decision maker who is in a position of pharaoh, but you present it from the position of the slave. So what does it mean working in an environment not of your choosing, doing things not of your liking, day in, day out? And you try to bring that alienation, that sense of self-estrangement into the case, into the narrative, so that people can reflect upon how horrific the experience is for most of humanity, who have to rent themselves as tools in these huge machines and get their life and their creativity and their vitality just grinded out of them. And what Blake called dark satanic mills. I think it's pretty accurate. The term that he uses is satanic. And we have to move more towards the angelic realm. Even he recognized that. LUMS, if you notice, it's the university actually in its initial conception was to create free-thinking people whose minds would be free. That changed with the advent of the Industrial Revolution to a university simply being a site for training human beings to become tools of very large organizations, very large private organizations. So yes, you would now be in a way you would be reverting to the original idea of a university, which is to give you the ability to use your mind for your own interests, not to massage your mind to be used for the interest of others. So in one sense you would be challenging the training paradigm, but you would be reverting back to the original intent of a university, which is to provide you an education. That is the key distinction between education and training, where training is that your mind gets shaped to be used by others, and education is where your mind is used by yourself. Right? And there's no reason why people who can use their minds themselves would not be able to generate wealth that is beneficial to human beings without at the same time destroying humanity and the environment.
So,
in fact, the shiny side itself is rusted over. There's just a veneer there.
yeah.
It's not even a case where something is actually good and then you're contrasting it with a side effect. Well, I mean, the shine itself is an illusion. Well, I would grade it quite poorly because again, it's quite interesting. Like on our billboards, not our billboards, but on all our babs, the gates, it's Ya Rabbi Zidni Ilma, right?
Yeah.
Oh Allah, oh my Lord, increase me in my knowledge. And that, I think it's from Surah Taha, and it's the prayer of Musa alayhi salam. Well, how is that reflected in our curriculum? It really isn't, right? So again, so what we're setting off is normalizing that we don't need Islam in our lives. I mean, sure, we need Islam in terms of praying, so it's being restricted to the mosque. But in terms of, okay, how can we incorporate Islam into different aspects, or how do we weigh alternatives? That is, without Islam, then we'll be left to our whims, caprices, Western value systems, and we'll judge on that. And the problem with judging on that is not that they're wrong because they're Western, is that according to us, they don't have a foundation. They lack sufficient warrants or justifiability. That is the problem. So in a nutshell, apart from not being concerned about the environment, LUMS on the other hand is actually actively producing a type of environment. So it's not the case that LUMS is simply reflecting the environment. Organizations don't simply just react as conventional management theory tells you. They actually construct the environment. Halliburton and Bechtel construct the environment in Iraq. General Electric constructs the environment of the tax legislation, environmental laws and labor laws in the US and other parts of the world. So organizations are very powerful tools. They're tools to impact reality. So LUMS is actually shaping an environment where certain things are considered important, and those things are not considered important, in my opinion, in my understanding of how the deen functions. Right? So LUMS's environment is we have to maximize dunya, and given that constraint, how much of the deen can we carry? So it's not that they're anti-deen, it's just that they're giving different priorities. Whereas for us, the issue would be we have to maximize the deen, and on that constraint, how much dunya can we take with us? So it's not that we are operating on different parameters, we're giving different weights to those parameters, and that is making all the difference. I do not think there's any course that directly deals with the state of the environment in the social sciences, and I could be wrong, it could be one course. So the understanding is that what is out of sight is often out of mind. So you don't see it, and you see where the emphasis is being placed in terms of finance, accounting, other such subjects. So you begin to internalize the priority sequence in your mind that, okay, since these subjects are being taught again and again, calculus 1, calculus 2, calculus 3, vectors, matrices, analytical geometry, clearly maths is important. Since we don't see environment, that means if it were important, it would have been placed. It's not, so it's not important. And there's a great fright in the LUMS curriculum in that things are segmented. So while they boast that they provide students with a liberal arts education, I don't think that's quite accurate, because things are compartmentalized. So they will provide you with philosophy and even environmental discussion, which is totally disconnected from the courses in computer science. So you're not going to see how do these things connect. So how do these different parts connect? And because you wouldn't see that, you would not be as a computer scientist or a computer engineer or a software specialist. We see the consequences of your actions beyond the domain in which the blinders have been set that enable you to focus.
So if we take
Well, okay, you mean in terms of is there a self-selection mechanism that basically LUMS is selecting in the very people in whose faces it sees its reflection, right? Well, given the way the admission criteria are, that's probably true, but how many people are actually aware of all these issues? And why would they be interested in doing an MBA? So you actually want the people, even when LUMS becomes a super duper, a superhero for good, right? In a Sharia sense, you would still want to get those people. Because those are the people that need help, right? They're sick people. So a hospital's job is not to treat the healthy, because they're fine. You want to give them a preventive diet to make sure the diseases don't come. But you got to get at the sick. So you would want exactly